They've set up a speed trap. We know 2 people who have broken 50 miles an hour. I am hoping to be the 3rd. Would be my highest ever speed on a mountain bike.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Sid.
And I'm Macky, and we are here in Grand Junction preparing for the Grand Junction Enduro, or the Grand Enduro. We're about to go up and race the prologue.
The prologue is just a seeding run basically, so it doesn't count for our overall time, but we rode all the trails this morning and you can kind of see why. Like, there are a lot of places where it would not be great to have a lot of people passing. There's some technical stuff and some rocky stuff and some hills, and like, so I think they want to make sure that people aren't piling up on top of each other.
I will be racing the Jamis Hardline for the first time this weekend. Sid got to race this bike in Chile when we were racing Andes Pacifico, but I have not gotten to race it yet, so I'm pretty excited about that. This bike is technically a test bike, so it's not available to the general public, but the aluminum version is, and the aluminum version is pretty spectacular as well. All the angles and everything are the same. It's just the material that is different. I will be running the Vittoria Demian Plus wheels with a Martello on the front, and this is a 235. And then on the back, also running a Demian Plus, but running the Morsa, which is a 2.3. And the reason I went with the Morsa is it's a little bit smaller profile tire. So you can see the center knobs, it's a little bit beat up because I've been riding it for a while, but the center knobs are flatter, so they roll really fast, but then they're still really nice big side knobs for good cornering traction. Shimano XTR 12-speed drivetrain, although technically I'm running the 11-speed cassette. That's the MRP SXG, and then this is a top guide that Jamis does. These are the new 4-piston XTR brakes. You can see they've got the new mounting system where there's 2 points of contact. The modulation is really, really good. And then a 203 mil rotor in the front and a 180 in the back. Got the Stages power meter, and that is paired with the Stages dash cycling computer. And then the X-Fusion Vector Coil Shock. This bike pedals so well that you can have a coil shock with no lockout, which this doesn't, and it still doesn't bob when you're pedaling. Yeah, I really can't say enough about how well this bike pedals. The X-Fusion Manic Dropper Post, it's a 150. And finally, the X-Fusion Sweep Fork. So it's a 34 mil stanchion fork, set to 160, so the bike is 160, 160. Right it back. Thank you. The prologue was the end of the 3rd stage that we'll be racing tomorrow, which was nice because it means that we got to see that section a second time. We have now seen everything once and that little part twice. Now we go find out what the results were, because the results give our start times for tomorrow. The prologue went pretty well. I was 5th. These trails are super duper fun. And there was like a free shuttle today for practice. It was pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited because tomorrow on the first stage, which is the ribbon, there's a section that's just this like super fast, high speed, slick rock, like basically straight section, and they've set up a speed trap. So I think tomorrow they will have a radar gun out there clocking people. We know 2 people who have broken 50 miles an hour, and I am hoping to be the 3rd. Today during practice I hit 44, but I didn't realize we were on that section, so I was like, oh, I don't know what's coming, I better slow down. So now that I know what's coming and that I can really open it up, I'm crossing my fingers that I can break 50, which would be my highest ever speed on a mountain bike. This race morning, we were running a little bit late because of some cow interference.
It's 6:30 in the morning. We gotta be at this race and start in like 15 minutes. And yeah, so there's a bunch of cows in the road. This is totally ridiculous. Oh my god, we're in a sea.
We are parting the seas of the cows. Oh, this one has poop all over his head. How did you get poop on your head?
Oh, he stood under someone.
He was probably standing behind someone who was pooping. But we are here, we are ready, we're about to go start pedaling up the hill. I have my usual pre-race jitters and nerves, but I need to like calm it down and get ready to try to break this speed record on the first stage. This is what the start looks like, guys. It is so crazy. Otherworldly, you could say. This section is super fun because it's just like super high speed down slick rock. This is not the place where the speed trap is. This is the first section of just like super fast, high speed slick rock. I had something pretty cool happen on my way up. I was doing some efforts just to like warm up because I know how much of a difference warming up makes. It's a pretty steep or a pretty consistent climb, but it started rolling down a little bit. So I was shifting to harder gears. It was under load. And normally like when you do that on earlier drivetrains, it was always like, like it made this terrible noise. And this time it was just like tick. And I was like, oh, that was weird. That actually just happened. So I tried it again and it was just like tick. And it was something I mentioned in our XTR first look video, which I will link to up here. It shifts down and like stays more connected to the cassette as it shifts down. But I never really noticed it riding until today. And I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. So you can really shift under load and it feels pretty awesome. I also just found out like yesterday that Shimano is releasing their 12-speed like technology in XT and SLX. So if you have been looking at it, but like, whoa, the XTR stuff is too expensive, you don't have to wait anymore. I'm gonna go race my bicycle now, and it's gonna be awesome.
Stage 1, the ribbon. 1,300 feet of descending in 2.2 miles. The first thing to watch out for is the infamous toilet bowl section. Here, riders can choose between two lines, a steep rock roll or a tamer but still challenging B-line. Next up, there's a high-speed slick rock section that hugs a cliff edge and requires a little bit of tunnel vision. From there, the slick rock expanse funnels into the wine glass. This is where you'll want to keep off the brakes to be going top speed for the speed trap. After the speed trap, there are just a few sandy climbs between you and the finish.
Shot.
That was stage 1. I'm optimistic. I felt like I was going really fast. So if I didn't break 50, I'm gonna be a little disappointed. We'll find out at the end. They have results for the speed trap. I think I may have thought too much about that section. Like I was just thinking about it, like I want to go really fast on that. And so I wasn't as focused and in it on the other stuff as I should have been, could have been. The next stages, I'm just gonna like try to focus on looking as far ahead as I can and get like super low. Overall, I'm pleased. I just had an absolute blast. That stage was, I thought it was a blast. A lot of people were complaining because they're like, oh, you had to run your bike in sections, and like, sure, that's a bummer, but like the fun parts were so much fun that it was totally worth running your bike a couple times. Here we are, top of stage 2. Woo, 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 woo!
Stage 2, Gunny Loop, 700 feet of descending over 2.3 miles. This stage starts with a ripping fast double track descent. The crux move comes early with a tight left-hander and a steep rock roll. The next section is all fun and games with a swoopy fast descent and lots of opportunities for airtime. Get ready to pedal because this stage finishes with a 3 to 4 minute rolling to uphill section, making this stage the most physically challenging of the race.
A bunch more coming. All right, stage 2 was really fun. The end part that was kind of rolling was hard at race pace. Like yesterday when we pre-rode, we were just kind of like cruising. It's like, oh, this is fun. At race pace, when you're trying to go fast, it was really hard. You had to pedal hard. Just another ridiculously fun stage. What is that you have there?
Popsicle.
They have Otter Pops. Aid Station 2 is obviously the best aid station ever.
What are called? Otter?
Those ones are Otter Pops. It's funny, I got halfway up this climb to stage 3, the last stage of the day, before I remembered that I actually fell over on stage 2. I kind of got off balance and I was like leaning. I was like, I can save it. And then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have to pull a foot out and like kick off once. It's not a big deal. But then my foot got stuck in my pedal somehow and I like tipped over and turtled. Just funny how when you're racing, you like sometimes forget that things like that happen, and then you're riding and you're like, oh yeah, I fell over. So I fell over. Before I drop into this last stage, I want to take a couple seconds to say thank you to our Patreon team. They are the reason that we can do these videos. It takes a ton of time and a ton of work to plan them, film them, edit them, and we don't really make a whole lot of money from AdSense because YouTube AdSense just doesn't make you much money. So our Patreon team makes it possible. So huge shout out, huge thank you to them. You should say thanks to them in the comments because they are the reason that you guys get these videos, which hopefully you enjoy. Top of stage 3, free lunch. See, this just proves anyone who says there's no such thing as free lunch.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
They're wrong. It's right here, free lunch, proof. As you can see, there are myriad warnings, warning that this is a technical trail and that you ride it at your own risk. There's even a thing about like, this first feature is a qualifier feature, and if it intimidates you, you shouldn't ride this trail. So we looked at it carefully yesterday and like practiced some sections. So hopefully I can like find those lines and just be smooth and pump well on the other stuff. And I, you know, crossing my fingers for a good, smooth, fast final stage.
Stage 3, free lunch to pucker up to Curt's down. 1,000 feet of descending over 3 miles. Free lunch is definitely the trickiest trail in this race, with lots of A-B splits, tons of drops, and a few steep rock rolls. After free lunch, you head straight into pucker up, which has several challenging chunk sections and also the infamous cathedral drop. After pucker up, it's a pretty straightforward haul to the finish with several steep climbs, some chunky slick rock, and then finally the last few switchbacks to the finish.
Hop, hop, hop. I guess that's it. It's the race. I felt pretty good on that last one. I think I basically hit my lines. This fell off. My piggy partway through. No, piggy, you're just gonna have to hang out there. Apparently I just didn't have it on there tight enough, so that was distracting. Overall, I'm pleased. I think I had a pretty steady day, especially considering how much I didn't know the trails and the fact that I had one practice on them. I'm pretty pleased. I hit most of the lines I wanted to, and I was smooth and consistent. Yeah, woo! How was it?
The other two I felt like I did really well, and that one I don't really know.
Okay, fair enough.
I was also really tired at the end. Free lunch had me for lunch.
Uh-oh, lunch wasn't so free after all.
It was all the technical features were fine, but
yeah. Nice job.
Thank you. There were 3 flat rock sections that I just got stuffed into.
Yeah.
Crash, but
good job. Come here.
How cool. You're a cutie, aren't you? We were driving in from where we camped last night, and it was we survived.
All right, we got results. I ended up 6th. I was only 5 seconds out of 5th after 25 minutes of racing, something like that. So close racing, close, tight racing, which is really fun. I felt like I rode a good race. I had some mistakes, but honestly, you always have mistakes in races. That's just the way racing goes. The result that we've all been waiting for, the speed trap. I did not get the fastest speed trap result, but I did hit 49 miles per hour. Not quite the 50 I was hoping for, but really close. And now that I have gone through that section at speed, I feel like next time I could go through that section even faster. Grand Enduro was an awesome experience. Highly recommend it for anyone who wants gnarly, fun, fast, super cool riding in trails. Go check out this video right here next. This was from Ainsa, Spain last year, the Enduro World Series. It was similarly rocky, long, ridiculously hard, and I might have gotten stitches, so we'll see you over there in just a second.